What's up, everybody? This is your boy Tech G back with another video to help you successfully pass the CompTIA Security Plus 601 certification exam. So let's get into it. In this video, you're going to learn about cyber threat hunting aspects such as intelligence fusion, threat feeds, and security advisories and bulletins. Also, you will learn about various aspects of vulnerability scans such as false positives, false negatives, log reviews, credentialed versus non-credentialed scans, intrusion versus non-intrusion scans, application scanners, web application scanners, network scanners, and the common vulnerability scoring system. So let's talk about cyber threat hunting. So this is an active cyber defense activity. It is the process of proactively and iteratively searching through networks to detect and isolate advanced threats that evade existing security solutions. This is in contrast to traditional threat management measures such as firewalls, intrusion detection systems, malware sandboxes, and SIEM systems, which typically involve investigation of evidence-based data after there has been a warning of a potential threat. When it comes to cyber threat hunting aspects, you need to be concerned with the following information for the CompTIA Security Plus certification exam. So you need to know what intelligence fusion is, and this is an approach to cybersecurity that unifies all security functions such as threat intelligence, security automation, threat response, security orchestration, incident response, and others into a single connected unit with the capability to coalesce all comprising units for detecting, managing, and responding to threats in an integrated and collaborative manner. You also need to know about threat feeds. This is an ongoing stream of data related to potential or current threats to an organization's security, and threat feeds, they provide information on attacks, including zero-day attacks, malware, botnets, and other security threats. And then you need to be familiar with security advisories and bulletins, and we discussed this in video 1.5D, where we talked about how vendors, coordination centers, security researchers, and others publish security advisories and bulletins to disclose vulnerabilities, to where most of these vulnerabilities are disclosed to the public via what is called the Common Vulnerability and Exposure, or the CVE identifier. And CVEs, this is a standard that provides a mechanism to assign an identifier to vulnerabilities so that you can correlate the reports of those vulnerabilities amongst various sites, tools, and feeds. Let's talk about vulnerability scan. So a vulnerability scanner, this is a computer program designed to assess computers, networks, or applications for known weaknesses. They are utilized in the identification and detection of vulnerabilities arising from misconfigurations or flawed programming within a network-based asset such as a firewall, router, web server, application server, etc. Most vulnerability scanners allow for both authenticated and authenticated scans. Modern scanners are typically available as software as a service, and most of them have the ability to customize vulnerability reports as well as the installed software, open ports, certificates, and other host information that can be queried as part of its workflow. And some aspects about vulnerability scans that you need to be familiar with are the following. You need to know what a false positive is, and this is a situation or a false alarm that incorrectly indicates the presence of a condition. So in other words, you could think of a security device that's triggering an alarm, but there is no malicious activity taking place. You need to know what a false negative is, and this is a security device that fails to detect an actual security event under certain circumstances, such as a malicious activity that's actually taking place, but it is not being detected by the network security device. You need to be familiar with log reviews, and these can be used by vulnerability scanners on target systems to check for information pertaining to activities that have taken place on the system. Next is credentialed versus non-credentialed scans. So to reduce the number of false positives, some vulnerability scanners have the capability to log into a system to perform additional tests and see what programs, applications, and open source software may be running on a targeted system. They can also perform configuration reviews to determine if a system may be configured in an unsecure way. You need to know about intrusive versus non-intrusive scans. So vulnerability vulnerability scanners, they sometimes can send numerous IP packets at a very fast pace to a target system. This is known as intrusive, and these IP packets can potentially cause negative effects and even crash an application or a system. In some scanners, they can be configured in such a way that you can throttle the probes and IP packets that it sends to a target system in order to be non-intrusive and to not cause any negative effects in the system. Then we have application scanners, and these are used to access application-specific vulnerabilities, and they operate at the upper layers of the OSI model. And then you have web application scanners, and these are used for crawling websites for vulnerabilities within web applications. After analyzing all of the discoverable web pages and files, the scanner then builds a software structure of the entire website. However, the web application scanner does not have access to the source code. Then you have a network scanner, and this helps to detect all of the active hosts on a network and then maps them to their IP addresses. Network scanners, they send a packet or a ping to every possible IP address and waits for a response to determine the status of the applications or devices. The responding hosts are considered active while others are considered inactive, and these responses are then scanned to detect inconsistencies. And then you have the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, or the CVSS, and this is an industry standard used to capture the principal characteristics of a vulnerability and produce a numerical score reflecting its severity. The numerical score can then be translated into a qualitative representation such as low, medium, high, and critical to help organizations properly assess and prioritize their vulnerability management processes. All right, so that was my video on cyber threat hunting and vulnerability scans, where we talked about cyber threat hunting aspects such as intelligence fusion, threat feeds, and security advisories and bulletins. And we also talked about various aspects pertaining to vulnerability scans, such as false positives, false negatives, log reviews, credentialed versus non-credentialed scans, intrusive versus non-intrusive scans, application scanners, web application scanners, network scanners, and the Common Vulnerability Scoring System. Now, if you felt like you've gotten something valuable out of this information, go ahead and hit the like button, share button, drop a comment, but most importantly, subscribe to this channel. Also, go check out my website, Technology G, so that you can get read up on the latest and greatest to help you successfully pass the CompTIA Security Plus 601 certification exam. And until next video, ladies and gentlemen, peace.